What if I told you the richest king who ever lived wasn't rich because of his gold, but because of what he did before the gold came? King Solomon didn't inherit wealth. He inherited wisdom. And that wisdom turned him into the richest king in human history. The Bible says his annual income was 25 tons of gold. That's roughly $750 million in today's money, every single year. Nations traveled from the ends of the earth just to hear him speak. Queens brought treasures just to ask him questions. But here's what most people miss. Solomon's wealth wasn't luck. It wasn't inheritance. It wasn't even a blessing that fell from the sky. It was strategy. Biblical strategy. See, when God offered Solomon anything he wanted, he didn't ask for money. He asked for wisdom. And that one decision unlocked a financial blueprint so powerful that 3,000 years later, we're still studying it. In this teaching, I'm going to walk you through the 10 saving and wealth-building strategies Solomon used, not just to get rich, but to stay rich, build a kingdom, and leave a legacy that still speaks today. These aren't tips. They're time-tested, biblically proven principles. And if you apply even 3 of them, your financial life will never be the same. Stay with me until the end, because principle number 10 is the one Solomon said separates the wealthy from the wise. When God appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you," Solomon could have asked for anything. Riches. Long life. Victory over enemies. But he asked for wisdom. 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 9 records his request. "Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong." And here's what happened next. God gave him wisdom and wealth. Because Solomon prioritized the right thing first. This is the foundational principle most people get backwards. They chase money without developing the mind to manage it. They want the harvest without understanding the seasons. Solomon understood something critical. Wealth without wisdom is temporary. But wisdom always attracts wealth. Before you make another financial decision, ask yourself, am I seeking strategies or am I seeking understanding? Because the person who learns why money works will always outperform the person who only learns how to make it. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 7 says wisdom is supreme, therefore get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding. Solomon invested in his mind before he invested in anything else. And that's where your breakthrough begins, not in a better job but in a better mindset. He also understood the seasons of money. Solomon wrote in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, "There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens." He knew when to plant and when to harvest. When to build and when to wait. When to spend and when to save. This is where most people lose money. They don't recognize the season they're in. Solomon saved during seasons of abundance and invested during seasons of opportunity. He didn't save forever and he didn't spend recklessly. He moved with divine timing. Look at 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 14. During one season, Solomon received 25 tons of gold annually. But he didn't just store it. He used it to build infrastructure, establish trade routes, and create systems that would generate wealth for generations. He understood that money has different assignments in different seasons. In your season of increase, save aggressively. In your season of preparation, invest wisely. In your season of building, spend purposefully. The problem isn't that people don't have money. It's that they don't recognize the season they're in. Solomon's wealth came from alignment with divine timing, not just divine blessing. Ask God today, what season am I in and what should I be doing with my resources in this moment? Solomon also didn't have one source of income. He had multiple. 1 Kings chapter 10 reveals his portfolio. Trade routes through Israel connecting Africa, Asia, and Europe. A fleet of trading ships bringing gold, silver, ivory, and exotic goods. Taxation from the kingdom. Tribute from surrounding nations. Livestock and agricultural production. Manufacturing of chariots and horses. Verse 28 says Solomon's horses were imported from Egypt and from Q. The royal merchants purchased them from Q at the current price. He wasn't just a king. He was an entrepreneur, a trader, an investor, and a strategist. Solomon understood what Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 2 later taught. Invest in 7 ventures, yes in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Translation: don't put all your eggs in one basket. If one stream dries up, you have others. If one market crashes, you're not destroyed. Today that might look like your primary job, a side business or freelance work, investments in stocks or real estate or bonds, passive income streams, digital products or services. Solomon's wealth wasn't fragile because it wasn't dependent on one thing. He built redundancy into his financial system. The question isn't whether you should diversify. It's whether you're brave enough to start building beyond your comfort zone. Solomon also didn't just accumulate money. He created systems that generated wealth automatically. 1 Kings chapter 9 verses 26 through 28 describes how he built a fleet of ships at Ezion-Geber, partnered with King Hiram's experienced sailors, and established a trade route to Ophir that brought back 16 tons of gold in one trip. That's a system. He didn't go get the gold himself. He built infrastructure that did the work for him. He also established store cities mentioned in 1 Kings chapter 9 verse 19. Strategic locations for storing supplies, goods, and resources. These weren't just warehouses. They were economic hubs that facilitated trade and commerce. Here's the principle. Wealth is what you have. Systems are what keep it coming. Most people work for money. Solomon made money work for him. Today's systems look like automated savings transfers, investment accounts that compound, businesses with employees and processes, digital products that sell while you sleep, rental properties generating passive income. If you're still trading hours for dollars with no system behind you, you're working Solomon's wealth backward. Solomon built the machine. Then the machine built the wealth. What system can you build this month that will still be making you money a year from now? Solomon also invested heavily in knowledge and skilled people. 1 Kings chapter 4 verses 29 through 34 says God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding beyond measure. But look at what Solomon did with it. He studied everything. He spoke about plant life from the cedar of Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of walls. He also spoke about animals and birds, reptiles and fish. Solomon was a student. He studied botany, zoology, architecture, poetry, government, and commerce. But he didn't just learn. He surrounded himself with experts. When it was time to build the temple, he partnered with Hiram of Tyre, a master craftsman mentioned in 1 Kings chapter 7 verses 13 and 14. He didn't pretend to know everything. He hired the best. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." Solomon knew his wealth would only grow as far as his knowledge and his network. If you want to increase your income, increase your expertise. Please subscribe and turn on the notification button for more interesting videos.